Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's August 2024 Rec Release drop-in session. My name is Jenny, and I'll be facilitating today's event. And I am joined by Holly Law, the release manager. And just before we get started, I just want to go through some housekeeping. So we ask that you keep your cameras and your microphones off. The event will be recorded, so there will be an opportunity to refer back to the recording and the slides, and these will be available on the Rec portal. We will also be using Slido. The QR code is on the screen now, and I'll also pop a link in the chat. And there will be opportunities for a Q&A. So if you have any questions at any point, just pop it into Slido. So just wait on people to log into Slido. And in the meantime, I will share the agenda. I think I'm going to hand over to Holly now.
Great, thanks Jenny. Good morning everyone, thanks for joining. I'll be going through the changes planned for the August delivery, so for the August release, and I'll give you an overview of what each of the change proposals are, who's impacted and the products impacted. We've got quite a few changes going into this release. So as you can see, we've got R0121, which is SDEP improvements, and that's particularly around different process types that are used. We have 108, which is enabling electricity inquiry service switches using a UPRN number. 98 is around optional fuzzy searching within EES. We've got 146, which is a data spec update for refresh functionality. 164, which is removing enumerations from the communications method data item, and that's on the back of a BSC CP, which is 1594. 166, which is removal of the green deal panel. And then we also have 181, which is schedule 14, and that's a review of the footnotes within that schedule. And so I'll jump straight into the first change. Come over the next slide, thank you. So 121 is a SDEP review improvements. As I mentioned, it's particularly around process types. This change hits quite a lot of schedules and rec products. We've reviewed the Secure Data Exchange Portal, or SDEP system, and we've identified new process types for specific queries. And this change lays out those process types for those specific queries within the rec. The SDS provider will be impacted, DNO and suppliers. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of changes. The changes to each of the schedules are quite minor though, and it just sets out what process type we should use and when. So we've got schedule 8, 11, 14, 27, 28, 29 and 30 all being updated. We've got the data specs, so the market message catalogue and the data item catalogue are going to be updated. And we also have an SDEP user guide that will be updated with all the new process types and ready to use for the release. The next change is 108, and this is enabling electricity inquiry service searches using UPRN. So this is particularly useful for customers that wish to utilise multi-channel switching services for things like gas, electricity and water. So at the moment, they can't make use of generic address captured service for electricity switching because you can't search with UPRN at the moment, and that is the standard across all of those different utilities that people would usually search for. And this change will look to introduce that functionality. So the EES service provider will be impacted, and anybody that uses the EES as well. The only product that's being impacted is the data access matrix, and the API will be updated at a later date. This change is going to be implemented on the 23rd of August. However, it does only make changes to the EES API, and the same change may be applied to the GUI post MHHS if there is an appetite for it. So we do have a question on Slido. And that is, if the functionality were made available in the GUI, would you use it? So if you could just answer yes or no to that, that will give us a bit more of an idea of whether it would actually be used or not, and then we can consider doing the same post MHHS.
I think we'll just give people a moment just to click yes or no, and then we'll move on.
If you don't know at this time and you need to go away and find out, that's fine. Just email me and let me know if that is something that would be used. Thanks, Jenny. Shall we move on to the next slide? The next change, this is still under consideration and will be confirmed for the August release. We will communicate out in the bulletin and on the release page on the portal. But this particular change looks to introduce a new configuration setting into EES, Electricity Inquiry Service API, and it will allow searches to be exact or fuzzy. Parties impacted by this change will be the electricity inquiry service provider, and again, anybody that uses that service. It is still under consideration to be confirmed for August release, as it was supposed to go into the last release, but we identified some performance issues. So we are looking to make sure they are resolved before we're confirming it into this release. But as I said, we'll let you know in the bulletin and on the portal page. Thank you. The next one is 146, which is the data specification update for refresh functionality. So R67 was implemented a little while ago, and that introduced a refresh and resend functionality. And that was because market messages sent by the CSS to the switching data service provider were either not being received or were being received out of order or after gate closure. So that particular CP introduced a technical solution to mitigate that, to fix those errors, and then this change is updating the data specification for the refresh functionality. So there are no impacted parties. The actual technical change already went live a little while ago, but the products impacted will be the market message catalogue and the data item catalogue. Next, we have a CP that looks to remove the enumerations from the communications method data item, and that is on the back of a BSC CP, which is 1594. The BSC change proposed to create a central register of permissible enumerations for the communication method data item, and then this change therefore seeks to update that data item to reflect that BSC mod. Parties impacted by this change are electricity suppliers. We have electricity MEMS, DNOs, data collectors, and asset metering virtual lead parties, and the data spec is being updated as part of this change, and it'll be the data item catalogue. 166 looks to remove the Green Deal panel. And the reason is, since the REC was established, no business has actually been raised that would require the Green Deal panel to meet, and the group has yet to convene. It's quite an unnecessary administrative consideration, and it's also quite a challenge to keep that particular panel abreast of all the wider REC change process. So what we're going to do with this change is remove the Green Deal panel terms of reference from the REC baseline statement, but we are amending the change panel terms of reference to incorporate the consideration of Green Deal business. So the Green Deal business will still be considered, it will just be under the change panel rather than a specific Green Deal panel. RECO and REC Professional Services will be impacted by this change. The change panel terms of reference are being updated to include Green Deal business, and the Green Deal terms of reference will be deleted. And then finally, we've got 181, which was a review of the metering operation schedule. So there was a lot of footnotes. There are a lot of footnotes within that schedule. And as changes have been implemented, we found that some of the footnotes were not in the correct place. They were missing, and quite a few of them were no longer relevant. So this change reviewed all of those footnotes, put them into the correct order, removed irrelevant footnotes, and then all the footnotes have been moved into the main body of the schedule. So footnotes don't exist in there anymore. All REC parties will be impacted by this change, and the product impacted is Schedule 14 meeting operations. This slide deck will go onto the portal, so you can go back and read through anything that I've talked about today. This is just a visual representation of all the products that are going to be impacted as part of this change. So if you do need to go back and have a look and refer back to it, this is available for you. Post-implementation support. So if we go on to the next slide. If you do have any issues, please, you can raise a service desk ticket. If your inquiry is relating to a technical issue within the gas inquiry service, you can contact ExoServe. EES, then you can contact C&C, and their email is there. If you need to raise a ServiceNow ticket, the link is on there too. I think we just had a question come in as well. So it will be uploaded, the whole slide deck will be uploaded on the events page under this particular webinar. There'll also be a recording of this webinar as well. I'm going to stop there and see if there's any further questions. Have we got anything on this Slido, Jenny?
Don't have anything on the Slido at the moment, but if you do have a question, just type it in Slido, or you can raise your hand, or you can pop it in the chat. So yeah, we'll just wait on that now. Okay, I don't think anyone is typing, so I will assume that there are no questions.
If anyone does have any questions, feel free to drop me an email afterwards, and I'll get back to you.
Thank you, Holly. And that was the session for today. Thank you everyone for attending, and we hope it was useful to you. Just before you go, we do ask that you complete a little feedback form, letting us know what we did well, what we can improve. And yeah, thank you everyone.